I was always here, simply switched off my camera,
Okay, we
but I
lost you for a
listen very, very carefully to everything because that is the idea. Because my thesis is that it is such a complex place, Afghanistan, that we all may understand a part of it, but never the whole of it. I used to learn, I mean, Ambassador Dawood is a witness to that. One went there, every time one learned something new. When he was here, it was such a great pleasure to talk to him, especially because we had so many common friends, including Hamid Karzai, who used to talk about Pakistan and Afghanistan as twins. Now, that is, I think, one answer. Inevitably, these two countries have no choice but to find a modus vivendi. It started with a very wise Pakistani politician back in the 50s, Ajmal Khattak, who talked about such an union between the two countries, which could be called either a confederation, a union, an association, an understanding. But he knew that without the two working together, it's going to be difficult. As far as the misunderstandings are concerned, I am not bothered about that, frankly, because there are within the country we have misunderstanding, we have bad feelings towards so many different factions. So that's all right. And my admiration for the Afghans lies in the first place because they have their own opinion. They like to stay by that. They cannot be pressurized to do something. So once again, my admiration goes in that direction. As far as your question is concerned, the problem in a country like Pakistan is every Afghan that I met in my service days and later on knew this country very well, our country, because they've been coming, going, they've been studying. In Pakistan, the decision makers usually do not know enough about their own countries because they've come there temporarily because of either a flawed election or because of a particular post. And they will take 2 to 3 years to understand what it is. And by the time they get the hang of it, they are out. So if it is left to them to take the decision, then we will end up with certain very, very flawed consequences or disaster consequences. I keep conceding to these faults for the simple reason that at a certain stage you must talk about that. It's not about any defending Pakistan or offending anyone else, including Afghanistan or India. It is just to explain what is my understanding. Now, I think I leave the strategic depth part because the master has explained it beautifully well. I can certainly talk about a little bit about refugees that Bosandawar said. I completely empathize with that. I have also hardworking, honest, dedicated, and I considered them to be better citizens of Pakistan than are run of the mill people. And that is what pained me the most when this new policy was there. It's not only because they were they had lived there, they had learned even to play cricket here, in which they are probably going to be world champion one of these days. But and I've known their students who are so hardworking. The problem comes when there are people who are eyeing, to start with, looking for scapegoats for their own deficiencies. So it's very easy to put the blame on someone else. Why not the Afghan refugees? Now that's an easier part because of them. After they have been told to go, things have not improved here, but at least they have said that. And for some people who were, rooting against them, they are enjoying because they've been able to get hold of the Afghan businesses that the Afghans have established, and they are happy for the time. The other is that, you know, is when it comes, and I can understand when Mohsen Dawar time and again talks about the France, we got the Pashtuns being in the crossfire. That's the battleground. I have spent some time in Germany, and East and West Germans, they always said, in case of a conflict, East-West, they would be affected the most. Of course they would, because they are at the junction of the two empires, two conflicting, two contradicting ones. So the Pashtuns, well, not by design, but it is the accident of geography that they would come and bear the whole cost. The other is about the policy. Yes, I hope if the policy has given rise to certain bad implications, I'm not going to deny that. But I always ask people that look, when
I think we lost Mr. Durrani's audio. Can you guys hear him?
No.
No. Hmm. Mr. Durrani, are you there with us?
okay, I think we
Sorry,
are
we
back.
lost you a bit.
If we are back, I mean, the option, I said, what would be a good option? You just sit back, let those people entrench or 40 or you know, fortify their regimes, then what would happen? What will be better off or not? A decision had to be taken, and the decision taken by the state here in Islamabad always was that we will rather side with the Afghans' resistance than with the aggressor. If it has caused some discomfort to some people, let me say that it's not only collateral damage, but if any apology on that side is going to be to satisfy people, I'm here. I'm still around. Zia has gone. So many other people have gone, but I'm still there as one of the people who believed in this policy. You can always get hold of me and blame. But the intention was not to create anything else. We were not thinking about any ideology. We were certainly not thinking about good or bad Taliban or good or bad people. We were just thinking about a country free of occupation. Would that not be good for us? Because that they used to look after our flanks, left flank, called a strategic death, but the flank protection or the buffer zone was provided by the Afghans. If there is anything which is still bothering people, I am prepared to answer, but I have only one additional point, and that is that TTP. Oh, TTP is no good news for us. TTP did help there, and TTP is there. And handling the TTP according to our own teaching, according to our doctrine, which is prevalent in the Pakistan Army, is by soft means, by soft power, not by force. And that is what is, again, one of the major faults that I find amongst my institution, especially by people who come after me, that they use bombs to solve a political problem. TTP was a creation of a particular policy. Ambassador Saab, you might remember that once Musharraf sent his forces in Waziristan, Dawar Saab also, if he was still, of that age, he might remember that people like us went to town opposing Musharraf's policy of sending army to the tribal area without the consent of the league. This was a long time contract with them. When we did that, they were going to hit back. The first group that later on became a 40 group PTP was I think it was a Waziri group or a Masood group, which actually rose because in protest of our joining with America and in federal power to crack down against their co-religionists in Afghanistan. And that later on, that always happens, mushroom, escalated, became a group of 40 different parties. And now we do not know how all are still around in the TTP but I still do know that the only way that we should be able to tackle with them, regardless of what the Afghan Taliban did, was do what we have been taught to do. So don't use force against them. Their own citizens, we use what we call force, but more persuasion. Force only to say, well, the persuasion is not, only theoretical, only, on paper or verbal, but the force is also there just in case the persuasion fails. But we have not done it. Yet another big mistake that not only my country, but almost every country makes when dealing with the insurgents or dissidents. They crack down against them because it's easy. Taking care of them politically is more difficult.